Attention dorado fishermen, or predators fishermen of all types. You know the Poptimus Prime, bait fish extraordinaire. But now we have the Poptimus Prime. Check it out.
Yeah, that's a big brown bro.
All right, if you watched any of my exploits in Argentina chasing dorado, you will know that I got about 20 eats on top and I couldn't seal the deal. Well, the fly I had a really bad hook gap. Just saying, that's my formal excuse. So I started messing around with a few topwater bugs. This one's just going to be built on that same chassis of the Poptimus Prime that I like so much. So we just call this one the Poptimus Prime. We're going to have to get off this kick pretty soon, Brig. This is a promise. This is the last Prime style fly, unless we think of something that's super hot fire. Anyway, we have a 5/0 Gamakatsu B10S in the vise. We're going to tie it with 210 denier thread. You don't need GSP to tie really durable flies, people. I will say it again. I repeat, you do not need GSP to tie durable flies. GSP is great for tying down deer hair and stuff, but when you're tying in synthetic fibers like I'm going to do, GSP is way too slick for that. Just my opinion. All right, I'm going to take some SF fibers, which are these real wispy, cool synthetic. I mean, if there was going to be a synthetic bucktail, this would be it. And I'm going to get not a ton. This is going to be a sparser fly, about like that. And I'm going to take the tips of that and just kind of pull some out to create some taper. So if I roll that in my fingers, you can kind of tell that we've got some taper going on there. And this is going to be a pretty long fly. I mean, these fish are crushing just beastly fish. So we'll tie it in right here. And I'm going to tie it forward a little bit. And then I'm going to fold this over on top of itself. And because we tapered the back side, the front side is also tapered. So when we lay those on top of each other, it builds up a little bit more taper right there, closer to the fly. That's perfect. From there, we're just going to use a little bit of squish chenille. Do some squish chenille, and we're going to take that to about right here. I don't know what percent point that is on the fly, but you guys can see that. And we're going to tie that off. That mostly just kind of covers up the hook, gives a little bit more bulk, and then it also props up this front portion of material that we're going to put on. More SF fibers. This time it's the black color. It's got a little bit of UV and copper flash built into it. And I'm going to do the same thing, taper it out. But on this portion of it, I'm going to get it to length, but I'm going to tie it in reverse tie style. That'll give this one a little bit more body instead of just streamlining down. So I'll tie that, and I'll just wiggle my thumb across it so it kind of spreads it out, and I'll just take that piece, and I'm only going to do the top of this one. And then just wrap your thread right up against that section. I would, on some of the other flies, I've been putting 2 pieces, but because this is just a popper fly, I don't want it to have a lot of bulk up top. So we'll just do it with some minimal materials. Now we are going to tie in one of these craft fur brushes from EP, and we'll just get started on that. This will just butt into the back of the popper head we're going to glue on this. So we're going to want, just, I don't know how many turns, we'll just play it by ear. But if I fold that back for the first few times, it works great. If it starts to bind up like this, let's do it. And I can take one of these little Stomfo combs and just kind of brush it back as I go. kind of all hands here, but sometimes that's how tying is. Brush it out and maybe just a few more turns. That's actually probably pretty good. When I trim these brushes off, I'll brush some fibers back and some fibers this way, just to try to make it so that I don't cut off too many of these fibers off the brush. So I'll tie it off with just 2 loops and then take my thread and wrap over the top of itself. It makes it super durable. Grab a buddy's scissors that you don't like and trim the wire with those. These are Briggs scissors. I'll sell them to you for $5 if you want. And then I'm going to take this smaller comb and just brush through that. This is a really cool consistency on this brush because it has more fibers closer to the middle of it, so it makes more of a dense head. All right, so now we're going to take one of these double barrel poppers, and this one is in what size? Extra large. It's giant. And we're going to glue this on upside down and backward. So I've already prepared one of these heads. What you do is you just warm up a bodkin, and you can see the angle at which I put that through the head. It's not through the middle, it's through the very bottom. So I'll poke it out the other way. You can see that's where your needle should come out. If you do it closer to the middle, it makes it so you don't have very good hook gap. So I poke that through, and then while the needle's still hot, I rotate it side to side, and that makes it so that that hook eye can get through there really easily. So I'm going to dry fit that. That'll ride really nice. So to ensure that that head won't rotate back and forth, I'm going to add a little bit of dubbing. And I thought it was funny. I was using this gold ice dub just because it was around, but I think it's a critical part of it. Add some gold in there. That way you can say that you got a golden nugget hidden in your fly that no one will ever see. So we're going to give this fly the good luck golden nugget just under the head. I'm going to throw a little quick hand whip in there because we're going to put as much super glue as it would take for Brigham to put his G.I. Joe collection back together, which is a freaking lot. All right, so I'm just going to take that super glue and just soak it into that dubbing. That looks almost like candy, Brigham. I'd eat it. Now I'll just take this head, mash it into place. I'm just going to make sure that that hook just barely pokes out. You don't want it too far in there because you're going to have to tie some wire onto this. But anyway, that's the fly. I mean, you're just going to want to keep it simple. You want a lot of flotation. You can see I can get my whole finger in this hook gap. So you got a lot of opportunity to hook them. And then also it's a really, really light fly with a good amount of body. It's not going to just collapse all down. And it's going to ride really nice, always nose up on the water. So there you have it, Poptimus Prime.